My sister's affair is getting out of hand. She's begging me not to tell her husband, but I don't care. Am I the a-hole?
Ooh, the question is, do I tell the husband?
Do I rock with my fam, my blood? I, female 30, caught my sister, female 40, cheating on her husband, male 49, with a guy, male 40. So this might complicate it way more.
I don't understand.
That's double damage because you're seeing your sister get boned and you're seeing your sister cheat on your husband. Just bleach my eyes at that point.
I was shocked because my sister and her husband are the epitome for love that never dies. Literally, they have been together for 15 years and they still look so much in love, the way they treat each other. I felt anger and despair because I love my brother-in-law as a big brother and he has been there for my sister when she has been at her worst mentally. He was there taking care of her without ever once complaining. Now that I found out, I confronted her and she tried to deny it. I told her that she was pathetic, and now I hope she's happy with herself. After her husband nursed her back to health, she is paying him back with cheating on him.
Yeah.
Not the best way to pay someone back.
Yeah, dude. Well, maybe she's like, now that I'm better and was so close to, I don't know, a mental breakdown or death, now I really want to live life.
Yeah, to the fullest. I told her I was going to expose her, and she was begging me and crying, telling me I didn't understand.
She's like, I already exposed myself to you. Do you need to expose me more?
Right? I can't handle double, triple exposure over here.
Double exposure?
Please don't hurt us. You will be hurting my husband more than you hurt me. It's the truth, and like, no.
His husband
Obviously.
her husband will definitely be hurt.
But should he continue to live a lie? Red pill, blue pill. After a few days, she asked to meet me. She looked like she was crying the whole time. She told me that she had been keeping her husband's secret, but she wanted to tell me and made me promise not to tell anyone. Her husband is impotent and he hasn't slept with her the majority of their relationship. I didn't believe her, so she showed me all the texts and emails she had with her husband and her therapist and her diary. He hasn't touched her for almost 12 years.
What? Whoa.
Her depression was because of it, and her back to health was because of this new guy. Okay, so her kind of like coming out of this like recent mental health crisis was this person that she's now sleeping with, apparently. She said that since she started sleeping with him, she has been happier, and by extension, her marriage and husband have been happier. I asked her why she doesn't just tell her husband. She said that she couldn't because she loves him and she couldn't hurt him. She's afraid he would be so lonely without her because he always said he had no one else in this world and he would die without her. Oh, man.
If you can't fulfill your partner's sexual desires, that I think is a issue in a relationship. And like the answer isn't cheating. The answer is talking about it and like setting up a situation that works for you both. If they haven't touched each other in 12 years, you know, like you got to get down. Like that is a human right. I don't know. Like I feel for her, but how she went about it is wrong. She should have told her husband.
She says, "Don't you see that we are all happy? Please don't hurt us." Now about the guy. She met him through work, and actually he is kind of a famous entrepreneur in our city.
Damn, that's even more difficult. He's like got it all.
His bank account and his penis is full. She showed me texts, etc. He is also married, but he has 3 children. And he has the same problem with his sexless marriage. Yesterday, she asked me to meet her. She was with him. The audacity. She looked totally broken and he looked smug and angry and he didn't even want to look at me. She asked me to think of all the people that would be hurt if this came out, and she said that they will end their affair and promise never to do it again. He got upset and said, or we could just tell everyone and stop hiding. And then she got angry and told him to shut up.
I think that's a great solution. I mean, I think that's what you should do. That is the right thing to do.
Literally, what do we have left? Like, you've already broken the trust of cheating. You might as well be honest from this point on out.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And maybe come to the conclusions you should have come to
before.
I don't know what to do. She said that she kept her husband's secret because he is embarrassed and he is very possessive and jealous. I have noticed that he is the jealous type, so he didn't agree to an open marriage.
Oh, so she already talked about it. And he's like, no, I don't want an open marriage. That's rough, dude. That's rough.
She swore it was over with this other guy too, and showed me texts where they had a huge fight because he actually thinks I should tell her husband so they could be together, but I don't know. He has given her a Cartier love ring that she still has. Riley, can you look up how much Cartier love rings are?
Yeah.
That's like really, it's an expensive brand, right?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure super expensive.
Yeah. Okay, so there's one rose gold diamonds. It's like 7,200.
Sheesh.
And that ring she still had on when I confronted her. She said she couldn't throw an expensive ring away, but that she will donate it. She wears it in a chain underneath her clothes. I'm sorry this is getting long, but I wanted to include all the details. Hope you can give me an honest judgment.
Wait, she's wearing the affair ring currently?
Yes.
That's crazy, dude.
Would I be the asshole if I told my sister's husband? I think this whole thing is wrong and the cheated parties need to know the truth, but it will hurt the brother-in-law. So,
Does it hurt him more to not know?
I think the big thing that's standing out to me here is there's still the unresolved issue of like the brother saying that like, I don't know if I can, live without you in my life. That's something that I feel like he needs to see a mental health professional. And we're kind of skating around
it's
that.
like if OP tells the guy, will he like endanger his life? Is that a possibility? I think if OP thinks that's a possibility, then he probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
This is hard.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
The right thing to do is to tell the brother-in-law for sure.
And also from the devil's advocate POV, if they lived their lives, the brother-in-law never found out. Not that that should happen. I don't think that should happen. It's an interesting what if scenario.
Yeah. But it's like, are you comfortable living a lie?
Are you comfortable living a lie? Could you take that all the way to your grave?
And is OP comfortable, like living with that knowledge forever? It feels like the relationship is just like what doesn't work.
I just want to come on here and update everyone that I told my brother-in-law about the affair.
Woo! Okay. I think that's the right thing to do.
I have read all of your comments and thank you very much for the insight. I had to do what would make me sleep at night. I love my sister, but she must have known that I couldn't just live with the guilt. I have been cheated on by someone I loved, and I know how shitty and selfish you must be to cheat. I also know that if I could do it again, I would want to know this time too, because while the pain was enormous, I still feel lucky now that I found out. My sister has called me like 20 times, but I didn't answer. She texted me, "Do you feel any better right now? How could you do this to me? I loved you. You ruined my life." Girl. What?
I mean, you ruined your own life by cheating.
I didn't want to answer her. I wanted to answer her that she was the one who ruined her life, but I didn't answer her. My parents are shocked and angry, but not with me. Brother-in-law called and told them everything, and he talked about plans that maybe my sister and he will move back to his hometown. He is devastated and broken. I hope they can move on from this together or separately, it doesn't matter, but that they move on and find real happiness and not at the cost of other people like it is right now. So there is a final update.
I think OP did the right thing. The brother-in-law's like, let's move away from all of this craziness and try to start fresh. But I'm curious to hear like what happens to them next.
Update, I'm still getting a lot of messages about an update on my sister and her situation. I thank you for being so sympathetic and worried about my sister. I might have painted my brother-in-law to be abusive to my sister, and I regret that. I just wanted to be transparent as I could because they're not here to tell their side of the story, so I was trying to do my best to take in my sister and her husband's POV. They are fine. My brother-in-law is very hurt and destroyed, but he assured me that he wasn't angry with me and that I did the right thing. Truth hurts sometimes, is what he said. He's planning on taking a break from his work and maybe going back home for a while. My sister is fine and not hurt. She doesn't talk to me, and I get that, but she is not harmed in any way more than her heart. But let's face it, it was her own doing. And I think she knows that because that's what she told my parents. Her husband has suggested that they move back to his hometown because I don't think he can trust her staying in the same city as her lover. And as he said, he can't follow and spy on her all his life, but he is willing to forgive her because he loves her. My parents are very angry with my sister. They are not angry with me, however. The only thing they thought I could have done right differently is that I should have told them before I told my brother-in-law, because then they would have had their own way to make my sister admit what she's done to her husband. At least it would have come from her. But can you really expect OP to think that? Like, oh, my parents will be able to get my sister to tell the truth?
I might have to revise my previous answer, but let's finish up. But I have some thoughts.
As for her lover, I didn't know he was married, as I said in my previous post. I don't have the details, but I know that my brother-in-law has texted him and told him to keep away from his wife. I have been on both his and his wife's Instagram accounts, and it seems like the wife knows now. I don't know if she'll take him back or not with the way that he acted. The way he acted on our meeting, he didn't seem to care either way. Boy, I hope he doesn't have a prenup and she takes him for all he's got. That's all for today. I won't be making these frequent updates. If anything of significance happens, I will be updating it in the future, but right now I'm logging off.
I was thinking while you were reading, like, if I caught my sister cheating on her like husband or boyfriend or something, would I go in and like say something? I would definitely say something to her, depending on how close the relationship was, like that I had with the brother-in-law. If it was really close, I would say something. If it wasn't, I would just encourage my sister to say something.
Yeah, I definitely think there's like a line where it's like, okay, if you or you barely even know both of the people and have almost no connection, and then you find out, it's like, okay, well, like, you know, so where is that line, I guess, is the question. Honestly, I'm curious for everyone watching right now, like, A, what do you think that line is? And B, have you kind of come across your own scenario kind of similar where you're like, should I be the one to bring it or not? One thing I will say from earlier in the story, I don't think OP's wrong for not doing this, but if OP was really conflicted, then like maybe going to someone like your parents and being like, hey, here's the situation. Like, I am kind of at a loss of like what to do. Cause then it's like, hey, look, I'm still not like ruining your relationship, and you've already like, you're the one that messed up. So like, it's not wrong of me to tell the parents, and then at least you get some more insight or maybe some help on like how to approach.
It's a complex situation,
scenario.
dude. It's a complex situation. I think it just depends on how close you are to each of the people involved.
Yeah, 100%.
But let us know what you would do. Put your answers in the comments below. But you know what I want to do?
Ooh, what?
I want to get into this next story.
Feed it to me.
My wife keeps flirting with her coworker, and now it's getting out of hand. Am I the asshole for telling her to end it? When it went from, hey, can we go eat out together, to, hey, can you eat me out? That's when I drew the line.
You know, those two words are just very, very critical.
My wife and I have been together for 10 years, married for nearly 5, and we have a 3-year-old son. We are fairly happy, though have been having couples counseling for 6 months, as we found being parents very difficult. We've been making a lot of progress with our communication lately, but today that all fell apart. My wife has autistic traits, which run in both of our families, and I have ADHD, so we are a neurodivergent couple, and that's probably relevant here. It's lame to be a neurotypical couple now. Got to be neurodivergent. Got to flex that ADHD, baby. You have ADHD, yeah?
ADD technically, if you want to get really, really technical.
My mom definitely has ADHD or something. She has something. I don't know what it is, but it's
something.
My wife recently moved back into our shared office as we both work from home. Today, she hopped on a video call with a guy from work who she is friends with, and I stepped out to take a quick call about something. After my call was finished, I just sat scrolling Reddit for a bit, but could hear their conversation, and it made me increasingly more uncomfortable. My wife sounded like a completely different person. She would tut and giggle before she said anything. She was constantly joking with him every sentence. She was energetic, and it all sounded so incredibly flirty. You know what they say? If you can make her cheeks laugh and giggle, then you can make her cheeks
clap and jiggle.
And jiggle.
That is what they say.
Clap and jiggle.
I mean,
yep, that's what they say.
Common knowledge, and it rhymes.
He had called her not for anything work related, but to tell her he had taken a new job in the city closest to us.
Why are you so close?
Red flag number 2. He currently lives far away. She said things like, do me a favor when that contract comes, just rip it up so you don't have to leave. And as long as you were always available for me on Microsoft Teams. And they went on to confirm they had each other on WhatsApp, etc., all the while joking about various things and giggling in a way that I never hear her do ever.
That contract ain't the only thing coming.
Oh, dude. That's rough, dude.
Do we think she's truly cheating right now? Are we?
She's into him. She's into him for sure. Right? Like, probably like into him a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe whether she's acting on it or not,
Also, just maybe it's like into him in a friendly way.
100%.
But I definitely can understand as a husband if he's like a total dud and has never made his wife laugh once, and this guy comes along and her cheeks are laughing and giggling, then
We've had a lot of milkworm husbands lately.
Yeah, milkworm husbands, dude. What's the deal? They were talking for 20 minutes, and I almost started to record them so she could hear herself back, but they said goodbye just after I started. It just made me feel so gross listening to it. This isn't the first time I've noticed their flirtiness, and I brought it up last year after she started that new job. They were calling each other outside work hours, and she added him on the PlayStation, and they would sit and game together in the evenings, chatting away with the same giggly, flirty tone. She was talking about him a lot and telling me lots of really personal things about his childhood and parents and stuff. It caused issues when I brought it up that it made me uncomfortable, especially one night when we were supposed to have time together, but she just forgot and spent the night playing with him.
Oh, yeah, she was playing with him. All right. Oh, God.
Oh, God. John was set up too perfectly for that one, dude.
Oh, guys, you got to stop setting me up.
Also, this situation is basically the reason that I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. Like, that's basically this exact kind of thing, except she was touching him more than this guy. She denies flirting at all and just says he's a work friend. Around that time, she traveled to the central office, and I know he had invited her for dinner at his place, which hadn't happened at the end, I think because I said I wasn't comfortable with that. They did end up still going for dinner in the city together, though, as friends.
What? Okay, so the husband is uncomfortable with getting a dinner, all three of you together, but so it's like, oh, hey, no worries. I'll just go just by myself. Like, that's better.
Bro, he invited her to dinner at his place. The thing is, I'm not a jealous person. Over the years, my wife has had a few crushes, one of them being my uni roommate, who's like a younger brother to me. It's kind of a running joke that they both fancy each other a bit, and I genuinely don't mind and think it's funny. We joke about one day having a threesome with him, etc.
Wow.
Okay. I do know that she is prone to the occasional crush, and I don't take it seriously, but have once or twice over the decade felt like I have had to point out some boundaries. I think, again, like, there's not necessarily anything wrong with this kind of behavior unless it crosses a boundary that like you guys have set together.
Yeah, Sam, I don't know if you've been in a similar position, but sometimes I'll be like overly friendly to someone and like maybe that other person interprets it. And sometimes a partner has been like, oh, hey, don't like, that's maybe a little bit too much. Or did you notice this?
Dude, literally every Tuesday, it's like John is coming on to me, I swear.
It's bad, bro. 10 hours just straight staring into each other's eyes, reading the deepest, darkest secrets.
It's like, he's always laughing and giggling. And
you know what they say when the face cheeks giggle? That's right, baby. The secret's out.
Oh, man. So back to today. After they finished their call, I said, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? When I then said that she probably wouldn't like what I was about to say, she immediately got defensive and walked off and said she wasn't going to have this conversation. Since I hadn't even said anything yet, that intuitively tells me that some part of her knows that the way she was talking was probably a bit inappropriate. I got upset and said I was feeling uncomfortable with the way she was talking with him again, that it sounds like heavy flirting to me, that I would feel uncomfortable if I talked to another woman at work like that, or if a girl talked to me like that. Even as a clueless guy, I would be getting a strong vibe that she fancies me, that I feel hurt by it, and that if she talked like that to me, it would be and that if she talked like that to me, it would be a dream come true. She basically dismissed it all very defensively, and she said she wasn't flirting at all, that I just didn't want her to be friends with him. that she doesn't understand what she's done wrong and that she's fed up with me being like this, even though I haven't spoken to her about this since last summer and never been jealous in our 10-year relationship. I felt like I'm being gaslit as it seems like such obvious flirting and she's dismissing it as all in my head. It's caused a massive argument. I'm willing to admit that me getting upset about it is likely due to some insecurity, but at the same time, I feel like I know what I saw and heard and that I'm an understanding person. I'm okay with crushing, but this crosses a line. I should be able to say that, no? I think it's likely something to do with my wife's autistic traits and not understanding the social norms or boundaries. I don't know. She doesn't realize how flirty she's being sometimes. I think that's definitely true. I wish she would flirt with me by accident a bit more. Is it okay for me to feel upset by this? Or am I being controlling or irrational? There is a fat, juicy, thick update, but what do you think? Like, is OP being unreasonable here? And also, like, I think she is right where she's like, hey, I don't know what boundary I crossed. And I think it's helpful to point to specific things that she's doing. They're like, hey, that specific thing made me uncomfortable. Because just saying like you're flirting, it's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, 100%. Like OP used the word obvious, right? But it's like obvious could be very different to two different people. But if OP is like, yo, these are my boundaries and this is where it happened in the past, can we like come together and like figure out a way to where, you know, this cannot happen and I can not be hurt? And I feel like the hard part is OP's wife is not really coming to the table and being like, okay, yeah, let's like figure out where I can kind of like, you know, do better to not hurt you, you know, maybe even unintentionally. But it seems like OP's wife is just like putting the wall up and being defensive about it.
Yeah, which is a little telling too. Like that feels like a little sus. But you know, like when I was going through this, I was like, hey, like don't spend time at his apartment past midnight. Don't like touch his chest or like arms. Like it was like stuff that like, or don't feed him out of a spoon directly in his mouth. And I don't think she was doing any of that intentionally, which I don't think OP's wife even is being intentional about it necessarily. Yeah. Like it could be like totally innocent and she's just like, you know, but what she's not doing is she's not setting herself up for success in terms of miscommunicating something to this guy, right? This guy is probably getting the wrong impression if she's trying to be loyal to her husband. And so I think pointing out some very specific things that she's doing to be like, hey, this is bothering me. This is why you're crossing a line can be helpful. And then if she crosses them, then it's just like, hey, like you crossed a line here, like, and we agreed on this. And then it's much easier to make a decision from there.
Yeah. The bottom line is like OP's getting hurt because of this. And from, you know, you never fully know, but from everything in the way that OP has broken it down, it seems like he's pretty reasonable. He literally jokes about his friend having a threesome with his wife. Like this dude seems like pretty chill, all things considered.
I ended up showing my wife the post that I had written. And it was so incredibly validating to feel like I wasn't going insane. We had a really difficult conversation about it all, and we both were so angry at each other until she told me the truth. In a rather heated moment, she kind of venomously said something like, I like talking to him because when I do, I feel happy and relaxed, like I can be myself, which is something I can never feel when I'm around you.
Wow.
Ow. This really made me sad, and I instantly wasn't angry anymore. I just apologized and told her how that's just what I wanted her to feel around me again. That feeling of being herself is something she had lost after becoming a mom and the difficult few years we've had in COVID. We don't have and never have had any help being parents from our extended families, and so never have time together for ourselves. She didn't have any feelings for him beyond a friend, and I do think she was genuinely being naive and also a little willingly ignorant about him pushing boundaries. A few examples which came out after we talked about it. He had asked her to come back to her hotel room to continue chatting after the work party, for example. This was also due to her autism as well, not fully understanding where the boundary is. But when we looked at the big picture, she could see and did admit that she had unwittingly begun down the path of some kind of emotional affair, which she didn't really know was a thing. She took responsibility for this and did stop talking to the guy and told him that she would only be talking to him if required to for work purposes from then on. He left that job shortly after, so that was also easier for us. Funnily enough, it did come out that after he left, he had made some advances and been awkward with a few other of my wife's colleagues. People noticed at work that my wife had stopped being friendly with him and was asked, was it because he was being awkward with you as well, kind of thing. We talked a lot in counseling about it. I think a massive problem that I had to acknowledge was that she had got to a place where she expected me to be angry and irritated by things, because that is definitely something I have struggled with. So she had begun hiding stuff in fear of how I would respond. She didn't feel like she could come talk to me about stuff. When she did admit to her wrongdoing and acknowledge she had begun to push me away and prioritize things above our relationship, she was surprised at how kind and patient and forgiving I was. I was surprised too. We kind of figured out that a lot of the anger and irritation was often because I could tell that I wasn't getting the whole truth. That's all I wanted, her to be straight with me so I know where I stand. That and my feelings to be acknowledged, both of which are kind of a massive trigger for me. So it's kind of like this emotional affair actually brought them
closer together.
We started doing things like having a take back of the day, where if one of us said or did something we later regretted, then we could apologize and call it our take back. And we both agreed that we would forgive and forget those with no exceptions. We found that worked amazingly to develop compassion and understanding for one another. We also began working on having date nights every Friday and having difficult conversations with 100% honesty while we sat together, looking at each other and holding hands, so that we were connecting and feeling listened to. This was prescribed by our therapist because she told us about how when we both get triggered, we have a tendency to disassociate and we don't look at each other and turn away from each other and get stuck in a place where we can't hear what the other is saying. That was really tricky at times, but we've gotten pretty good at it now. And whenever we start struggling, we are very conscious to make physical contact and look at each other so we can hear and be heard. We took a break from counseling over the summer holidays because we decided we needed some time to process, and we ended up having an amazing summer. We went back for a therapy session last week, which we thought was about starting a second round. We were a bit nervous because we've been so happy and didn't want to stir anything up, but the therapist could see how happy and good things have been, so she told us not to come back unless we want to in the future. And it's true. We have been the happiest we have ever been. We are really close again. Our communication is so much better. Our understanding and compassion for each other and our quirks, triggers, etc. is at an all-time high. We look out for when the other is struggling and step in when we can't. When we miss it and the other has a meltdown or says or does something unkind, we are much better able to forgive and forget it using our takebacks and just have more understanding and compassion for each other's strengths and weaknesses. I think it's fair to say that although some boundaries were being crossed, my wife was only at the very beginning of the path that leads to a full-blown emotional affair. Nothing had really happened, and there were no feelings my wife had beyond exciting friendship and someone who was giving me nice attention, though he definitely had ulterior motives. So we were lucky to catch it when we did. That being said, the root cause was definitely our bad communication, negative behavioral loops that we had gotten into, and the degradation of our romantic relationship from becoming new parents over the last 4 years. There was a lot to learn and a lot of effort and willingness required on our parts to fix the issue and move forward, but only in short, intense combo bursts outside of which we have been very happy because we feel in control of it. Hopefully, some of you can read this and learn a few things to help your relationships. If I had to recommend one thing, it would be the take back of the day. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And that's a wrap for OP. It ended up being all okay.
Wow. My mind is blown in a good way.
Blown in a good way. Yeah, no, I'm like, it's cool that she was able to like admit where she had misstepped and OP was able to do the same.
Yeah, like it oftentimes these stories can just like, it gets to that point where it's right about to just derail and just completely go off the deep end. But then they were able to like sit down, actually understand each other, go to couples counseling, which sounded like it was very effective, and figure out all of these things. And ultimately, the wife did listen and put a stop to it, which is great.
You know, and the thing I think is that's interesting about like a place like this is it could easily have gone both ways.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really know, and luckily it went a good way.
It's beautiful to see. Beautiful to see.
100%. Beautiful end. But I would love to know what you would do in this situation. If you saw the beginnings of like an emotional affair happening in your relationship, what steps do you think you would take to remedy that? And also, have you ever been in a situation like this before? I would love to hear your answers. Put your answers in the comments. Also, if you want to submit a story, you should call us immediately at
440-508-6567. Can't wait to hear your stories. We'll play them on the show, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you soon.